I don't.
You're just a very lovely man, David, aren't you? And
cheers,
you
Alex.
know.
Come to the Coswolds.
Exciting things are going to happen to us in a place like this.
I wanted to start by asking about Rupert Campbell-Black.
Yeah.
And I think in a show of many, many memorable scenes, I was wondering what your reaction was to reading how your character is introduced and kind of learning that it wouldn't be your face on screen first.
Yes. Well, actually, that was one of, I mean, not the actual sex bit, but that was one of the audition scenes, was coming out of the bathroom. So I knew that was on the cards.
Yeah.
But in the script, he had, like, you could see his glistening blonde hair. Which,
Oh,
So I was
yes.
like, oh, well, I'm not.
Yeah.
What are we going to do there?
Did you think about a bottle dye job or no?
Well, yeah, I mean, they did. I mean, I did have an entire, what's the word, spray tan.
Okay.
So that job was taken care of, but not the blonde hair, no.
Yeah. Emily, in kind of a show with loads of jaw-dropping character introductions, I feel like your scene is very memorable. And I was wondering if you could kind of tell me about, you know, filming that, what that was like. Did you play any tennis? Like,
yeah, funny that my number one worry when I read the script was, oh God, I'm going to have to learn how to play tennis. Not, I'm going to have to run around a tennis court completely starkers. But yeah, no, I like a big entrance. So I was like, yeah, bring it on, fine. I know it's a very famous scene in the book. Yeah. It's, you know, we keep saying that obviously the nudity and the sex scenes are a huge part of this, but there's always a reason for them. You know, we're not just getting our kit off for no reason. It's like they're very integral to the storylines and the characters.
Yeah, her kind of yelp is very, very
It's
funny.
very carry on, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
It's great.
And, you know, I sort of watched it back afterwards and I made sure, you know, I actually had a stick on Merkin. And I just kind of made sure it wasn't shown too much, you know, like... But yeah, so they sort of let me have a say on that, which was nice. But yeah, it was fine. You know, I'm an actress doing my job, playing a role. I'm exactly where I need to be and behaving as I should. Yeah, so it's all good.
With a name like Tony Baddingham, you kind of expect a bit of a moustache twirling villain. But I think that, 4 episodes in, it's kind of, he's very charming at first and it's kind of slower reveal that he's maybe a bit villainous. I've just got to the bit where
Are you suggesting he might be the villain of the piece?
I just got to the bit where he's torn up the TV set and kind of let out a primal howl. And
Only
it
because
seems
everyone else
maybe...
is treating him so badly. Tony, I think, is only reacting to events around him in an entirely legitimate way.
So your take
I will
is that
defend
he's
him.
the victim of the piece.
He is the victim, yes. Yes, he lives in the shadow of this kind of terrible, good-looking entitlement. I mean, what else can be expected of him? Poor Tony, I say.
And so what is the dynamic between Tony and Rupert? What's the beef?
They don't.
Is it all
They don't
done?
really get on. I think Tony suffers in the presence of Rupert in a way that I don't think Tony is quite as much of a threat to Rupert as it is the other way around, I think.
Yeah, I guess Rupert is extremely privileged and has been... what do you say, that he has an entire cutlery drawer in his mouth?
Not just a silver spoon.
And I think that rankles Tony, doesn't it?
Very much so, yes. Tony didn't go to the right school. Tony didn't have the right sort of aristocratic blood flowing through his veins. So
I think Rupert sees him as a bit desperate.
yes. Yeah.
Seems like, obviously, Declan kind of mistakes Cameron for an assistant at first.
A man, I think.
A man.
A man
assistant, exactly.
But things start to seem like they thaw between them as the episodes go on. What was that like? And yeah, what do you think the relationship is?
You know, it's funny when I first read that part of the script, like, oh, he thinks I'm a man. And it was just really fun to see a black woman at that in the 80s, exploring this world and also kind of dominating it in a sense too. Like, she's the boss, she's pretty much running things, and you having a problem with that. And it's also too it speaks to a lot of competition, but then it also speaks to a lot of respect and mutual respect at that we have for each other. And things may shift the longer you watch, so stay tuned. But I thought it was pretty interesting the way that it was written too.
And this is a very kind of quintessentially English setting. You're obviously both Irish and American in the show and also yourselves. I was wondering what that was like to playing that, but also in practice filming it. Whether, because you're both kind of outsiders a bit.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say that you're even more of the outside.
Oh
How
my
was it like
God.
for you, like showing up in London, in Bristol to shoot this thing? Was it? Well, it wasn't your first time in the UK.
It wasn't my first time in the UK. First time in Bristol, and I was like, okay, where did I land? Did I mean this? Is this what I meant?
What dream is this?
Yeah, like what is this? But it spoke to the script. Like when I read the script, I was like, okay, this is what I saved myself for this year. Like I didn't take any job because of this one. It was definitely a new world, and I
shock.
leaned on y'all for like a lot of support. And I was like, okay, what does that mean? I heard people saying they're going to the loo, and I was like, wait, should I go? Like, what is that? Instead of saying that we're rolling, it would be like we're turning over. I'm like, what does that mean?
right,
So
yeah,
it was
yeah.
just like I was forced into this world. But I also, art imitates life, right? So was Cameron. So she came from New York to Bristol or the Cotswolds
Yeah,
to the
Rochester.
country, Rochester, to now like run this TV production company. And I knew a lot what that felt like, as an actor coming here and having to find myself in this new world and navigate and learn and stay open. So I just played a lot off of Cameron and I played a lot off of each other.
I think it's interesting. I think Declan has something similar too. Like not so much the outsider. He's lived in the UK for a number of years
Right.
with his wife, but he's new to this world, this Rutshire sort of strange, absurd family, incestual thing that's happening. And he's very much, I think he's kind of a bit, he's on the back foot with all of that kind of thing. But for me, playing the character, I suppose, it was nice. It's nice to play Irish. I've got to do it sometimes, but this feels like I'm coming sort of full circle. Or, I feel like he's a man. He's got older kids and a family, and it's nice to play a dad. I'm a dad, so there's lots of sort of similar things. I've kind of based them roughly on my own dad. So I didn't have to stretch a lot for this role. I'm just figuring out. I didn't do a lot of work. I just grew a moustache, it turns out. It's kind of just a version of my father. But you're right. Yeah, two outsiders, and maybe that's why they sort of come together in this unison.
I think it's quite different it's quite different for you as well, would you say, Kate? Mind you are quite versatile. I don't think you ever play the same. Yeah, you are. You don't do the same thing. So for me, this was a real step out of my comfort zone, and I really enjoyed Freddie. I just think I've never looked so different as well, and I think it was important that I just changed my look, and running around with a moustache was. Which I grew to love this tash, and so did my children, and they were gutted.
So that was
when I
like
got
your
rid
own
of it.
work, or
Yeah, it was my own tash. Yeah.
okay.
Oh yeah, it's all me. Proud of that tash, to be fair. So,
Yeah, it was a good tash.
so it was a real lovely opportunity for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought, Danny sort of stepped into Freddie's shoes completely seamlessly. It's funny because you get known for things, but then you can also be very comfortable doing other things that maybe you're not known for. Because I didn't ever see a moment when Danny was sort of, you didn't sort of spend ages trying to get into character as Freddie or anything like that.
Too much
But
aggravation.
and I've worked a lot with the writer Laura Wade, so in a way it was very much in my comfort zone this part. But I appreciate it might not be necessarily. My TV stuff is maybe more comedically kind of whatever. So, but because Daddy's done a lot of theatre and I've done a lot of theatre. Sometimes you've done sort of these other parts quite a bit, but it hasn't maybe been as sort of seen by the viewing public. So, what I'm saying is it's in our comfort zone, but it's not in the viewer's comfort zone, and that's kind of quite a nice place to be, isn't it?
Yeah. And there's obviously a lot of sex in the show, and I've seen Dominic Treadwell-Collins kind of describe it as equal opportunity approach to nudity, and they're based on books for women. So I was wondering what that was like in the approach to the sex scenes, kind of in discussions with intimacy coordinators about how they were filmed. I'm thinking kind of to make sure that they weren't kind of falling into a male gaze or anything like that.
I think it's something that everyone was very aware of, and I think it was something that was handled very correctly and very appropriately. I think the arrival of the intimacy coordinator has been a great thing that's happened in our industry, and it just means that everyone feels protected in a way that perhaps hasn't always historically been the case. And in a show that is about intimacy, you need to make sure that that's being presented properly and being presented with sort of bravery and with a certain. You don't want to shy away from it, but at the same time, you want to make sure that everyone is being protected on set as well.
As soon as I met Alex Hassel, we've got on so well. So I knew I was going to be completely comfortable with him. The crew were amazing. Elliot Hegarty, the director, was great. And we all really knew each other really well by then. And I think anybody that had nudity scenes and sex scenes, we all just really supported each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, and we loved kind of talking about it, and it was liberating, and it was. It was very safe. We had intimacy coordinators, which is something that actually I've never experienced before, which was really great to see how far we've come in that sense. And I mean, I couldn't have felt more comfortable and looked after. And it was fun, you know, great fun. It was summer, nice and warm.
Yeah.
I had a great spray tan, and yeah, off to the races. Great.
Well, I wasn't aware. I was aware of Jilly Cooper's books and aware of Jilly Cooper, but I never read any before. So when the scripts came in, I mean, like Nafisa, I just thought I have to be part of this. It's fun, but the sex, as you said, feels fun in it too. But it's also, there's different types of sex. There's different types of relationships and dynamics that's happening in that sexual journey with everybody. So it's interesting to see those too. There's I think we do it in a different way. I mean, I don't know. It does feel refreshing. It doesn't feel like maybe a lot of sex is on television at the moment. I don't know, but there's a lot of it.
Yeah. No?
I was just going to say, sex is just a small part of it, I would say. And for me, it was about Cameron being smart and being bold. And I will say there's a lot of balance within the sex. And also, I would say for my character in particular, like, she owned her sexuality. She owns it. Like, she is very powerful in how she approaches it. And to me, that stood out and made me be like, okay. And I also don't shy away from sex. Like, if it's a part of the story, like, I'm a storyteller and I'm gonna tell it.
He was saying how it was filmed during the height of Tick season.
Yeah.
And he was very concerned.
They were
for
very
both of
worried
you.
about us both, and I was really disappointed to move inside because I just felt it was really nice that it was the sort of urgency of it being happening outside felt important. Plus, I think it was what was in the book, and then there was talk of us being in a room and because of health and safety reasons, and I thought that was. Whilst I felt very sort of sweetly, it was nice of them to consider that we shouldn't have ticks for... I wouldn't have minded having a tick.
Well, it's an added worry, isn't it? I mean, you've got enough on your plate and then you've got to worry about ticks.
Got ticks. We've probably both got ticks already.
We've got away with it though, haven't we?
It's like a memento that you can take with you from the set. Tick bite.
Yeah, horrible ticks.
It was something I forgot about in the filming of it anyway, so that's good.
Yeah, no, because we're very professional people.
Yeah.
It was really good too that half the show was directed by women. So that, we had a guy do the first 4 and then 2 and 2 female directors, which was a really useful and good way to be approaching those sorts of things too.
And I've also seen him talking about how you were kind of the instigator of the good vibes on set. Was that an official title? Did you take that on with, I don't know, purpose?
No, I don't.
You're just a very lovely man, David, aren't you? And
cheers, Alex. I mean, I think it was a very jolly bunch of people, wasn't it? It was a
very lovely bunch of people. Yeah.
I know that when before I came on board, it was talked about that there was a great deal of attention was being paid to making sure there was a no arseholes policy on set. I don't mean that in terms of the sex scenes, and that's often talked about. But I know that I think the reality is the producer did a lot of due diligence on just making sure that everyone was decent and nice and kind, and actually that really, I think you can see that in the finished product.
I definitely think so, especially also having to do a bunch of the stuff, the more kind of risque stuff that we have to do to know that you're in a really nice group of people
you're working
really
with
helpful,
and feel safe and comfortable, and it was a very joyous shoot.
Yeah.
And I understand that Jilly Cooper visited. Was that...
Regularly.
Was that nerve-wracking, having her watching proceedings?
I did find it a bit nerve-wracking, yeah. She was immediately very supportive, which was extremely helpful. That I did feel a certain amount of playing a character that she particularly cares about over the arc of all the books, I guess, and having her seal of approval was really important to me. But she's been sort of effusive in her excitement about the show, so that's very useful. Yeah,
she's a lovely energy to have around. Yeah, and she's legendary. I mean, she's she's part of our cultural heritage in this country.
She seems to, from what I've read about her, she seems to really live and breathe the way that these novels are written, which I think she sounds a lot of fun.
She's definitely a lot of fun, for sure.
We went to a garden party, didn't we, of hers that was not dissimilar, I suppose, to some of the parties in Rivals.
She is everything you would hope she is.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, she was so kind, wasn't she? And she, it feels so amazing when you're cast in something like that, and then the actual creator of those characters comes to the set and says, "What a lovely job you're doing." And yeah, she was just always very happy and
Yeah, she didn't. She would not consider, I think, kind of
Picking it apart.
getting involved.
Yeah.
But what she did bring, which was sort of effervescent and magical, was just her nature, and she glows, and she is impish, and she is naughty, and she's twinkly, and so there's a sort of shining beacon of the essence of what we're all trying to show there on set, and it was bewitching and seductive, and exciting.
Yeah. She would always say to us, she was always happy to know that we were all having a drink in the bar afterwards, and she'd come up to us and go, "Was it a bit of a session last night?" Like, she loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, Alex and David were telling me they got invited to one of her parties, and it was like a night to remember.
Same, yeah. we all still talk about it now, don't we? It's great. Yeah.
I grew up with her.
Oh, yeah?
So, not actually Jilly, but my mum, flicking through the books, had them. You always knew she was reading a Jilly because she'd be laughing her head off. And, and I would steal them and not tell her. And she'd go, "Where on earth did I put my Rivals? Where?" "Oh, I'm going half mad." I'd be like, "Oh, put that back there." "Mum, I think you left it on the countertop." "Oh, I did. I thought I just looked there." "Oh, well, not to worry, you're old." And so I basically gaslit my mother.
Yeah.
But I stole her books, and they're so I knew it when all I heard was Jilly Cooper's Rivals being made. I'm like, ugh, I need in.
It's lovely having her around.
Yeah.
She's a good energy, Jilly.
Yeah.
She's really smart, switched on, and she'd obviously approved us all.
Yeah.
So you didn't have that fear of her turning up and going,
loves
"Actually, I
you.
don't
She
really
loves
like
you."
her." She did, yeah. She was, well, I don't know whether she wrote this book, and of course, there's a bit of a chemistry between Lizzie and Freddie, and, there's an element of Jilly to Lizzie's character, so maybe I'm Jilly's sexual fantasy.
That's where we seem to have come
with
to.
a moustache.
Yeah. Did you ever raise that with her?
And,
That's her
that's
ringing
her now.
bell.
Perfect. Tell her I'll be half hour. I'll meet her in room 207. No, look, listen, we just...
She was a very positive presence. I was saying earlier, sometimes writers come on set and everyone tenses up, but it was sort of the opposite when Jilly came, which was often.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask about kind of what it was like to step back into the 80s and what the highlight of that
I mean, I
piece
loved
of
it. We were
was.
talking about this earlier.
Fun.
Yeah, and you said something interesting earlier, which was like, I want to be an adult in the 80s. And we got to do that.
We got to do it.
We got to do it.
That was fun.
There's moments that I take to, this is probably really embarrassing, but there is moments when, like, as an actor, I sometimes take, and I did a lot of it on this show, where you can be really immersed in this world. The sets, everything about it, your costume, the other people, everywhere you look is 80s. And you can just have these moments on your own where you can just, for little moments, just forget that you're on a film set. And stuff. This is like,
This
80s.
was
This
it.
is
This
what it
is
was
it.
like
This
in
is it.
1986.
Yeah.
I'm doing the thing. And then it goes away and somebody calls turnover. And
then you're like, okay, I'm in.
Let's go back to it. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It was very fun.
Yeah, I think we did it well. the 80s, yeah.
Was it kind of bittersweet having to return to normal
It kind of was a little bit.
social media and all of that
I
stuff?
know. This is the other thing, no phones, which is
Yeah.
just incredible.
Yeah.
It feels, a bit lawless and kind of more grounded, strangely enough.
Yeah.
How about it?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the 80s very vividly, but this was not my 80s. I was in Paisley, wearing short trousers and trying to do my history homework. This was not... This is a very different
Not
80s.
smoking on cigars.
Yeah, exactly. It's
exactly.
a very different 80s than the one I lived through, but what fun to visit.
It was amazing being in the big group party scenes with so much, colourful costumes, the huge hairdos, the music particularly, and seeing people trying to do 80s dancing was particularly fun.
I think it's because you can know. I mean, this is a period piece. It's a long time ago now, and you look back on it. You can sort of enjoy all the indulgences without having to live there.
Yeah.
But it's a fun place to visit.
And it's like Rutshire kind of seems like a bit of a bubble, but there is the kind of politics at the edges with these like phone calls to Margaret Thatcher and the like. Although Rupert kind of makes being an MP and a minister look fairly fun and easy.
Yeah.
It seems quite light work.
Yeah.
He's not, he doesn't seem to spend a lot of time in Parliament.
He does all the work off camera.
Yeah.
There's that one interaction with Cameron at dinner where she reacts to someone describing a black single mother as a box tick.
Yes.
I was wondering how you thought those, because obviously it's such a bubble in some respects, but those kind of wider issues do kind of come into the story, how you thought that fit into the drama.
Well, I thought it was. I think it's very authentic to the time. These are kind of like remarks that you would hear at that time, and also it just speaks to her strength and to who she is, and how I love how she always is ready to stand up for herself and for other women, and that to me is what I look for in a character when I'm choosing to play someone.
I think what is so brilliant about her writing and about the show is that you're sort of drawn in by the colourful brashness, for want of a better word, or the kind of bright kind of fun of it.
And the sauciness.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that it slowly kind of gets its fingers into you and much deeper sort of political and socio-political and psychosexual territory in a way that's really interesting, and you're sort of is slightly unexpected.
Yeah, I don't think Jilly's work would have persisted in the way that it has if it wasn't, if her characters weren't so well drawn. And actually, and I think you see this as the series goes on, as the characters get more complex, more nuanced, as you understand the emotional web that she creates between them all, because it's a big ensemble cast, and all these characters influence each other and feed into each other. It's actually beautifully put together, and the kind of emotional heft of it is much stronger than you might initially imagine. It's a very, that's why her work has lived.
Yeah. The Rivals is kind of part of a wider, the Raunchy Chronicles. Do you think that there's kind of scope for more of this story?
I mean, I suppose there's always scope for more
Yeah, I mean,
things,
I would say so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Well, this is half the book, isn't it?
This is half the book. So and I think they got the rights to all the books as well. So,
Yeah.
It's an incredible cliffhanger. I mean,
Oh, yeah?
I can't lie.
Oh, yeah?
It can't end there.
No.
It
No?
just can't. You know, it's...
No, it sort of can't. I mean, it is so up in the air.
It's a very, very powerful ending of the first half of the book.
Okay.
And if you haven't read the books, then you'll be like,
Okay.
and then they roll the credits.
Yeah.
So
So
you've got to watch it till the end.
Okay. So I'm guessing you have both read the book and you know how it pans out, but...
Well, the thing is, you could deviate from the book. So in a way, there's a sort of trepidation with reading a book because it might be like, oh no, but that happens in the book, you know. So.
It's a perfect halfway point for it to go up a gear.
Okay. And is that something that you would be keen to do, to return to these
What,
characters?
another series? No.
No?
We're not-
Don't want to grow the
we're
moustache
like-
out again?
I
No?
can't
Get the
handle
typewriter
any more
I
out?
think I'm a bit busy and stuff. Working for Disney and that, it's not really...
It's a tough gig.
Fingers crossed. Though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want me Tash back. My kids want me Tash back,
Yeah.
weirdly. So I need another Tash era.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you think you'll be able to grow it again like
I
that?
think
It
we were
doesn't
doing it
like-
the other day and thinking, you know what, why don't I just have the Tash back? Yeah. And then I can sort of lie to people and say, I'm filming Rivals at the moment.
Yeah.
But
Just
not.
go incognito. People
Well,
don't
I'm seeing a lot of
recognise
geezers with Tashes knocking
It's
around.
quite cool
It's
now,
coming
isn't
back,
it?
isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
yeah.
And mine's quite Tom Sellecky. It's quite a...
I will not be
hit
doing
one.
the curls anytime
No.
soon. I will only do them.
you. Oh, they look lovely.
Thank you. Very attractive.